sometimes in our navigation graph we have a group of destinations that are doing similar things. For example, we have several screens for the login process or for the sign up process. For example, for sign up, we might have a screen for getting the user's email, one screen for getting the user's password, one screen for showing the user's progress in contacting the server, and so on and so forth. And therefore a group of destinations are doing something that is similar. Therefore we can group it in one destination. This is called nested navigation, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can create nested navigation in Jetpack Compose. So let's head over to Android Studio and create a new project. I create an empty Compose activity and name it nested navigation. I save it in Compose course directory and I press finish, waiting for the project to be created. Alright, looks like our project is created. First of all, I enter presentation mode before I forget it. I go to view, appearance, and enter presentation mode. And first, because we are working with navigation, I need to add the navigation library. So I press Alt and 1 and go to Gradle scripts, build.gradle file, and add the navigation library to my project. Android X Navigation and Navigation Compose with the latest version that is, I think, 240 alpha. It should be alpha 9, but I enter alpha 8 to get help from Android Studio if there's anything newer than that. Yes, it's alpha 9, the latest one. I imported. Also Compose version, there's a newer version available, so I go to the main build.gradle file and I update the Compose version to 102 and press sync now. We need to wait a little bit for the sync to be done. Alright, it's done. Back to main activity and I proceed with the code. Here I remove the composables added by Android Studio to this file, and I'm gonna create a navigation. So first I create a composable. I name it my screens, and here first I create my nav controller with remember nav controller, and I need a nav host for that. I import the one from the Compose package. And nav host, as you can see, takes the nav controller and the graph builder. Then we have the graph builder. Also the start destination or the default destination is important to be specified, and for that I'm gonna use A. Let's imagine we have several screens A, B, and C, and then inside B I'm gonna have several other nested screens. that are part of B. Therefore, I'm gonna start labeling them with alphabet characters. So, as you can see, nav host, I'm inside Graph Builder, and I'm gonna use my composable function, composable, that is available in the navigation library, and composable takes a route name. As you can see, these are the same. This is the default or start destination that needs to be part of my graph builder or my navigation graph. So inside A, I'm not going to pass any argument because the goal of this video is just to show you how you can create nested navigation. So inside composable, I'm gonna create a screen, and because the screens that I will create for every route will be similar, I'm gonna create a composable for that so that I can use it under every composable, inside every composable, and I'm gonna name it screen. And what it does, it takes a label, the route name to display. So it has a label, its type is string, and it also has a lambda for its content. So we can have different content inside our composable, and to make it possible, I'm gonna create a parameter for screen that takes a composable. So this is a composable lambda that I define as part of the definition of my function composable, @composable, of course, and I'm going to create a column here, modifier. Let's give our column a modifier so that we can specify the maximum size for it. Fill max size. And in addition to that, we might also want to give it a background, but I'm gonna skip it. And here inside the column, first I'm gonna use a text element. A text element that allows me to actually show the label that is passed to the screen. So label, I'm gonna use a big font size for that to show it, like 40 SP or 30 SP should be fine. Let's import SP, and for our text also I'm going to use a modifier to give it an alignment. But in order to make it easier for alignments to be applied to all elements inside column, actually I'm gonna remove this modifier from here and later add it as a parameter to column, because we know column has a parameter for alignment and arrangement. So we have horizontal alignment, and for that I use alignment dot center horizontally. And then for the text we have a special parameter called text align, to which I pass text align dot center, so that the text inside my text area will be centered. Okay, let's also give it a padding. So finally we need a modifier after all for our text. So padding 16 dip, I import dip and padding. So this is the definition of screen. One more thing before I finish creating composable. This composable is using the content that is passed to us, because we want to make it possible to embed any content that is passed to us here. So I'm gonna use content and invoke it this way, so that content is placed here. Every content that is passed to us is invoked here as in and is placed here. So invoke the content here, the past content, of course. So let's create our screens super fast. Composable B, a destination for B, and composable C, and as you can see, these will be 3 screens or 3 destinations in our navigation graph. And inside A, I'm gonna create links to the two other screens. So here I'm gonna use a column intern, and inside my column I'm gonna pass in 2 buttons. One button for going to screen B, and the other for going to screen C. And also we need our nav controller, so when this button is clicked, I'm gonna use the nav controller to navigate to screen B, to the route that is labeled with B. So navigate to B, and if the C button is clicked, then nav controller navigate to C, like this. And also I'm gonna make these columns, make this column align its content horizontal alignment dot center horizontally I'm gonna use for it. And also let's give it some padding for the buttons. So modifier dot padding 8 dip should do it. For the next button, padding 8 dip, and this should do it. Inside every composable, now we should be able to have our screen. But note that I created a composable to show my content. Therefore, I'm gonna wrap this column definition inside a pair of curly braces and then make a call to screen. And screen takes a label like this, and the label that I'm gonna use is to be taken from my nav backstack entry. I can take it from nav backstack entry. So instead of using A here, I'm gonna say it, which is my nav backstack entry dot destination. I must use it the dot destination and then root. This is the root, and because root can be nullable, I convert it to a string, and this creates a path for me to go from the A screen to B and C. Next, I'm gonna create the content of B. So for this one, I'm gonna use a simple screen like B with no content. I'm not going to use any custom content inside it, just with the defaults. Leave it with the defaults. And then for C, I'm gonna use a screen C and with empty content. Now let's call my screens inside our surface so that we can see the output on our phone. My screens. I'm gonna run the application from run app, and we wait for the emulator to launch and run our application. Alright, as you can see, we are in our A screen, and this screen contains two buttons that links us to the two other screens, B and C. If I click this button, I must go to screen B. Yes, that's right, I'm in B. I get back, return, and then go to C like this. And as you can see, this is normal navigation. We have just one navigation graph that has three destinations, A, B, and C. And from every node, we can navigate to the other node in our navigation graph. Next, as the subject of this video suggests, I'm gonna create a nested navigation. By that, I mean when I go to one of these screens, like B for example, I'm gonna have several other destinations. So those two destinations will be part of B and grouped as the B destination. In order to create that, I return to the definition of my nav host, and because I'm gonna put the nested navigation inside B, and the navigations that are going to be part of it, the nodes that are going to be part of it inside B, I'm gonna tell you what you need to use for a nested navigation. Instead of composable, use navigation. So the only difference is that you replace the composable with navigation in your navigation graph. I import navigation. I import it from the first option, and as you can see, its parameters are a little bit different, as the error shows here. I press Ctrl P. It has a start destination. So for start destination, I need to specify a destination, and in turn it also has a route. So it's important to note that it has a route. It itself has to have a route, and also it needs to have a start destination that specifies its default destination, its default home page. That shows by default when we move to this route. When we move to B, we need to see a default screen, and here's where we specify and determine it. So start destination. For start destination, let's say we have children of BA, BB, and BC inside this navigation graph. So let's use BA, and I'm gonna remove this call to screen, and this is the definition of the navigation graph. So here I'm gonna create 3 other composables. Composable and composable. In fact, let's just create 2 children. This is just to show how it works, so I don't need to make it very cluttered. So composable, let's specify its root. So for its root, as I said, I type BA, which is also the start destination, and inside it I make a call to screen composable with the label of it dot destination dot root and to string, and with some content that I'm gonna create soon, of course. And for the second one, for the second node of my navigation graph, or my nested navigation graph, in fact, I'm gonna use BB label. This is the second destination inside my B route or my B navigation. So when I head over to B, first I see the content related to BA, and this contains a column that I'm gonna create. This is just arbitrary content I'm creating. You can create whatever you want. I'm gonna put here, for example, I'm gonna simply use a button, because there's only one content, there's only one other screen to navigate to, so I use one button here, and as its text I say go to BB, and when the button is clicked I go to BB, nav controller, navigate to BB. And actually I'm gonna add the other composable too. Let's have some more screens, 2 other screens, composable CC and composable, because it's easy to create them here. We have a ready-made composable that makes us easy to create the UI for it. So go to BB, and now that we have several screens, I'm gonna put them inside a column. Surround with column. The first button takes us to BB. The second takes us to BC. Go to BC. Let's not forget its code. Its navigation code. Take us to BC. And sorry, it should be BC. And this one should be BD. These are children of B. And yes, go to BB, go to BC, and another button to go to BD. So text, go to BD, nav controller like this, and now I have 3 buttons, and for the buttons I'm gonna use modifier for the column first, modifier fill max size, and horizontal alignment, dot center horizontally, and for the third one, when I created BD, I go to BD, of course, and also let's add some padding to the buttons, modifier that padding 16.depth, modifier that padding 16.depth, add a modifier 16.depth, and inside each of these child composables I'm gonna call a screen with their label, so it dot destination dot root to string, and screen it dot destination dot root dot to string, and the screen it dot destination dot root to string. And to make this label look a little bit bigger, I'm gonna change the font size in the definition. Here's my let's not forget to add the content block for our screen. If you don't want to add the content block each time, even when we don't need it, we can specify it as default of null. We can pass it null. Okay, sorry, we can pass empty lambda like this, so that we don't need to specify the content block for our screen. All right. Now, as I said, I want to increase the font size to something bigger. 60, 70, 50 is good. And also I'm gonna change its horizontal alignment. I'm gonna give the text some alignment dot center vertically. I cannot call it in this column scope, so I skip it, and that's fine. Let's run our application to see our nested navigation in action. Alright, our application is running. We are in the A screen as the label shows here. I go to B, and B is a nested navigation and the nested destination, and you can see that it has in turn 3 other destinations in it: BA, BB, BC, and BD. In fact, there are 4 destinations inside this node: BA, BB, BC, and BD. And BA is this screen, which is the default screen or a start destination shown to us when we navigate to the route of B. So inside our B screen, I have linked to BB, so I can navigate to BB like this, return. I can go to BC, return, and I can go to BD like this, return, and back again. I'm in the A screen, and here I can also go to the C screen. So the point of this video is that we created a nested navigation here that is routed to by the navigation that we created here to screen B. And with this button, we go to that screen. We go to that route, which in turn has several child destinations in it. So you can use the principles that we used here to create child navigations and nested navigations in your application. For example, if you have a sign up process, you can put all your sign up related screens under the sign up route. In our definition, as you can see, this is my definition. This is my definition of nav host, and these are the children of my nav host: A, B, C, and in turn B has some other children: BA, BB, and BC and BD. So you can use this principle and these principles to create nested navigation in your Jetpack Compose application for making it easier to manage your destinations and make the destinations relevant to your goal of your application, to the goal of the operation that is usually performed using those destinations. So that's it for nested navigation in Jetpack Compose. I hope that you liked this video. So that's it for nested navigation in Jetpack Compose navigation system. So with that, I wrap up this video and see you in the next one.